Mr. President.
The Republican Leader.
Our all-volunteer military relies upon several critical factors to recruit young Americans who are sufficiently well-educated, physically and mentally qualified, and adequately motivated to wear the uniform. Our recruits expect to be well-led, well-trained, adequately compensated, effectively challenged, and fairly treated. Critically, they also expect to receive the health care promised to them while they were on active duty or as veterans. Later this morning, Secretary Shinseki will testify on stories that emerged several weeks ago about administrators at the VA hospital in Phoenix falsifying medical records to conceal delays in providing care to veterans. In the wake of these reports, similar stories from Wyoming, North Carolina, Missouri, and Texas have come to light about employees using similar tactics to conceal backlogs in medical care. The questions awaiting the Secretary will be tough, but this is his job. The American people are demanding and deserve answers to these questions. Now, to his credit, Secretary Shinseki has ordered an Inspector General review of the Phoenix VA healthcare system. It would not surprise me in the least if additional Inspector General reviews end up being required at other VA hospitals. One thing I'll be listening for today is whether or not Secretary Shinseki states the belief that the VA is in fact facing a systemic crisis. Because just this morning, the Wall Street Journal reported that his department has made, quote, minimal progress at best on a host of problems identified in 2012 by the Nonpartisan Government Accountability Office. Minimal progress at best. That's how a nonpartisan GAO official described it. Now, many letters have come into my office on this issue. Kentuckians are really concerned. Let me read you just what one Kentuckian had to say. As a veteran, I've read the recent revelations of events in Phoenix with horror. These Americans sacrificed for their country. In return, we owed them competent care and treatment as a person and not an obstacle to a good evaluation. In order to regain the trust of our veterans, it's vital that we hold those responsible accountable. This Kentucky veteran couldn't be more right. Last year, I called the Obama administration's veterans backlog a national disgrace. I've also made several appeals to the Secretary, and I know, of course, I wasn't the only one. And yet the initial reports of the shocking situation in Phoenix indicate that things have gotten only worse. With similar stories now filtering in from other parts of the country, it's getting harder to believe that this isn't more of a sort of systemic administration-wide crisis. The Veterans Administration needs to get to the bottom of how widespread the problem has become. My concern is that the Obama administration will treat this scandal like it does all the others, like a political crisis to get past rather than a serious problem to be solved. Now, we know we appointed a member of his staff yesterday to look into it, and that's a start. But if the President is truly serious, he needs to treat these stories at least as seriously as he did the Obamacare website fiasco, when he pledged his complete attention and the full force of his administration to do whatever needed to be done. That was on the website fiasco. When he let it be known that his people would not rest until the solution could be worked out. Incredibly, so far, the President has made no such pledge when it comes to the treatment of our veterans. The President needs to understand that our veterans deserve at least as much attention as a website. At least as much attention as a website. In fact, they deserve a heck of a lot more. This is a really big deal, Mr. President, and it's our job as senators to get to the bottom of it. We need to ask the tough questions. We need to uncover the truth. Any misconduct found at VA hospitals should be met with swift punishment. And administration officials need to be held accountable. because America's ill and wounded veterans have already paid a price. They've already paid a price. They have a right to expect that our country will be there when they need help. And if we break faith with them, we're breaking faith with the recruiters who made commitments to the next generation of American military leaders. All of these people have made commitments. The recruiters, the military leaders have all made commitments. As one of my colleagues put it, American veterans ought to be first in line for the best care, not pushed to the back of the line for what they're getting. So our joint mission, whether we're Democrats or Republicans, should be to get to the bottom of the Obama administration's veterans crisis swiftly and fix it. It means holding officials accountable, and it means getting serious about solutions. Things like Senator Rubio's bill that would make it easier to remove high-level VA employees for performance failures. I'm proud to co-sponsor that legislation, and I know some of my colleagues will have other good ideas in the coming days and weeks, too. The point is, that's where our focus needs to be. We owe it to every veteran who has served.